Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video in which we check in on Steve Shives just to see exactly how he's doing. Now, if you didn't know, Steve Shives is an ally and a hero to the marginalized groups in America. And we're just going to see exactly why he is just such a great person. Let's jump into it.
Some Nazis showed up at a pride parade in Detroit over the weekend. And it's tempting to downplay that, to say, well, it was only about 15 or 20 guys, and they didn't cause that much of a disruption, and it's being blown out of proportion. But most of the people who are saying that are people like me, people who aren't the reason that pride parades exist. You know, I do not have an LGBTQ plus identity.
Don't sell yourself short, Steve. I reckon in a couple of years you'll be joining your fellow T's, as that really seems like the type of person that you are. And I know what you're thinking. Steve calls anyone, right as Stalin a Nazi, but he might actually be right in this case, as apparently the National Socialist Movement, which, come on, National Socialist Movement, what the hell are these guys doing? Showed up. But there's a little bit more to the story, as apparently Antifa showed up as well. Yet, media calls them counter-protesters, which is complete horseshit, domestic terrorist group. And I love this line. So apparently 15 to 20 counter-protesters were masked up and referring to African American officers inappropriately. What the come on. This is the problem with the media nowadays. Literally, a domestic terrorist organization they call counter protesters. And this is, you could also get into the whole, my last video, a freaking black woman, oh, I'm just shouting out, just, the black people specifically, which if a white person did that, they'd be called a Nazi. So it's either pride for everyone or pride for no one, Steve.
I'm a cis hetero white guy, and it's not really for me or for people like me to tell people who were upset about Nazis at the Detroit Pride Parade that they shouldn't be upset about it.
This is the problem, Steve, because they're upset over literally everything, and also Antifa showed up as well. So, you're not saying, you never say anything about them for some reason. The domestic terrorist organization Antifa, the ones that, use bike locks to attack people. It's just, yeah, some Nazis or neo-Nazis showed up. It's just laugh at them. They call themselves the National Socialist Movement. What are they doing? But Antifa showed up as well, and they get an absolute free pass. Get called counter-protesters, for fuck's sake.
And yet, distressingly, there are a number of people in my own community, by which I mean the atheist community, the secular community, the skeptical community, who are doing just that. And that really bothers me. It pisses me off, and it pisses me off as a cis-het guy. I can only imagine how much it pisses people off.
And this is the problem, Steve. Oh, me as a cis hetero white guy. You wonder why we have such problems nowadays. When it's perfectly fine for, Black Lives Matter, other black groups, basically any non-white, non-straight group can have pride, can say as much shit as they want against white people. That's completely fine. You just say all white people are privileged, even though they're discriminated against all the time. You know that straight pride joke in which they made Milo Yiannopoulos like the leader of it? How much hate that received? But no, of course, gay people, they're just so totally oppressed in the West. Yep, have Pride Parade for 50 years, try and do a straight Pride Parade. Yeah, basically smeared by the media infinitum. Yep. You're so privileged, bud.
who are of one or more LGBTQ plus identities, because they're the people who are being patronized. They're the people who are being talked down to and finger wagged at, and being told, you shouldn't worry about that. That's, you're overreacting. People in our community who know how to say the right words, who know how to play the role of an ally, who know how to make it sound like they're on the side of marginalized people, but have absolutely no shame at all, no problem whatsoever in tone policing them when they get upset about something that this privileged person doesn't think they should be upset about, as though it's our call, as though we're the ones who are the arbiters of what is worthy of outrage and what isn't.
Because they just get so offended all the time. A leaf falls on their head and they want to burn the tree down. And Steve, you're part of a cult, mate. Just count the number of times he says, oh, marginalized people, oh, privilege. It's just, man, your group is basically Scientology at this point. You were part of a cult, seek help.
That's not okay. It's one of the most fundamental and I think important lessons that I personally have learned in my my journey to wokeness, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
And he says this unironically, wokeness. Mate, there are many groups that can help you get out of a cult. I know they've helped many people that were in Scientology. Really, you need assistance. Wokeness is basically, I as a straight man apparently are so much more privileged than anyone else in the world, even though I'm discriminated against all the time, attacked all the time, and basically, blamed for all the world's ills. Just fantastic. Like, can I trade my white privilege literally for anything else?
My striving to be a less shitty person over the last several years is, a lot of these things aren't my call. And if I want to stand in solidarity with people who are different than I am, who are less privileged than I am, then that's what I should do.
Okay, Steve, I'm going to play you a clip from my last video so you can check it out. I'll link it at the end. Just watch this and then we'll go into it.
Do want to shout out to Christy Winters, because she is the exception that I've seen so far to this rule. Like, she does take the time out to highlight smaller YouTubers. She does like to highlight and showcase marginalized voices on her platform, and like, it's so rare. You know what I'm saying? Like, I almost feel weird having to congratulate somebody for doing what is supposed to be done, but like I said, like, it just never really happens. So like, I have to acknowledge somebody doing what they're supposed to do, especially when so many of their other peers aren't doing that.
I had to speed it up because she talks insanely slow. But Steve, Christy Winters shouts out this YouTuber, and she's basically like, oh yeah, thanks, but you should have done it anyway. I shouldn't be thanking you because I'm black. And you say white people are the privileged ones. Her entire video is, I'm black, white people like you. She's angry at you, man. Oh, because you're not shouting out more black creators because they're black. Holy shit. That is literally black privilege right there.
I should stand in solidarity with them, and I shouldn't tone police them when they are expressing a concern. And yeah, it was only a few Nazis at Detroit Pride. But I think we should all be able to agree that a few Nazis is a few too many, should we not? And I think we should all be able to agree, I would think we should all be able to agree, that it's fucked up that the few Nazis who turned up to Detroit Pride had a police escort, and maybe the right thing to say in response to LGBTQ people that expressing their concern and their fear and their anger over something like that would be to express your support for them and your solidarity with them, and not necessarily to say, well, actually, you should be glad the police were there.
What do you mean you should be glad the police were there? They stopped, a bunch of neo-Nazis and Antifa, like, fighting. And, I kind of think we can all agree that, 15 to 20 Antifa people there is probably too many. But still, they're allowed freedom of speech. You might not like it. I definitely dislike what Antifa says. National Socialist movement. I'm not really on board with that either. So, but, nothing happened. They just said their shit. They like ripped up an Israeli flag, a pride flag, and left. So, yeah. I'm really surprised Antifa actually went somewhere and there wasn't massive violence.
Because if the police hadn't been there, what could have been a lot worse? Those Nazis could have really caused a lot more trouble. You shouldn't be shaming the police for being there. You should be thanking them, because they kept all those people at the parade safe from the Nazis. I just think that's kind of a fucked up thing to say. And I wonder about a person, any person, who fancies themselves as an ally of marginalized people.
What are you talking about? They should be thanking the police. How is that a fucked up thing to say? And also, Antifa, the domestic terrorist organization that uses bike locks and constantly causes freaking, like, violence everywhere they go. But, so why shouldn't the LGBTQ asterisk sign people be angry at the police? What? This is the problem when a group gets offended literally if like a leaf falls on them. No one takes them seriously. Well, I'm not saying they should be happy that Nazis were there, but fuck, seriously, man. Right-wingers have been having to deal with Antifa for like since day dot, so Antifa's still allowed their freedom of speech even though they're scummy people. And I would just really wish that the media would stop calling them counter-protesters. The domestic terrorist organization, counter-protesters.
Who feels comfortable saying something like that, in public no less, to a trans person, let's say, who is expressing concern about this. I question that person. And look, just as I am not the arbiter of what LGBTQ people should be worried about, I am also not the arbiter of who is an ally and who isn't.
Yeah, you're acting like one. Maybe some slightly more sane people than you are like, look, it's a couple of Nazis, just freaking laugh at them, ignore them, and move on with your life.
That's not my place. That's not a label that I should be able to apply to someone. And most of all myself. It's just not something that I have the right to do. But I have to believe that if you do want to be an ally to people, at least one of the qualifications should be that you have the ability to express unqualified support for and solidarity with marginalized people, the people that you want to be an ally to.
Yeah, well, lucky me. I don't want to be an ally to the LGBTQ AA asterisk sign community. Like, I will be, I don't know, friends with gay. I don't give a shit if they're gay or not, or lesbian. That really doesn't matter to me whatsoever. But I don't think they should have special rights just because they're gay. I do not agree whatsoever that just because they're gay means they're marginalized in the West. They've had pride parades for 50 freaking years. If you're talking about the freaking Middle East, yeah, I can jump on board with that because, they're being thrown off a building. But I saw recently that I can't remember which country it was. It was because Trump's trying to promote like gay rights in like the Middle East and shit and other countries like that. There actually is a country that is now, like giving them rights. But the Mr. Oh, I have a Drumpf series, will never give him credit for that. It's 5 a.m. here. You can look it up. I can't remember which country it was, but still, the right winger does more for gay rights than you, the progressive idiot.
That's got to be on the list, right? That's got to be on the list of qualifications. It doesn't mean you have to do that every single time, and it certainly doesn't mean that you can't ever be critical or questioning, but you should at least have the capacity to express unqualified solidarity. And there are so many people in our community, in the atheist community, especially lately, when YouTubers with large audiences in our community have said some questionable things, have said some things that a lot of people, including myself, consider to be transphobic and very ignorant and harmful to trans people or to LGBTQ plus people in general.
Okay, what do you want us to say, Steve? Let's do it. So, there were a guy for 25 years of their life say have a penis. Suddenly they're a woman, even though they've still got a penis, though they'll probably chop it off. What do you want us to say? They're a woman? Is that it? Screw biology, screw like thousands of years of history. Yeah, okay. Screw reality as we know it. Yeah, that's totally. Yep, that just works. Like, I'm a woman now, Steve. No, I still have a dick, still have a deep voice, but I'm a woman. And if you disagree, you're being transphobic. So I thought you were an ally to the trans community. What the hell, man?
And they not only express support for the person saying all of these problematic, bigoted things, they seem completely incapable of expressing that kind of unqualified support for people who they claim to be allies of or claim to want to be allies of. If you can't say, I support LGBTQ people, if you can't say, I support trans people, for example, and then put a period on the end of that sentence, if you have to put a comma and then say, however, and then add some horse shit about, I think some of the reaction to YouTuber X, rationality rules. Who the fuck am I kidding? I'm talking about rationality rules. And the guy who was saying all of the pandering, patronizing, things to one of my trans friends was Matt Dillahunty. Why am I being cute about it? Why am I being cute about it? I'm talking about Matt Dillahunty tone policing trans people, about Nazis at Pride, and when I say transphobic YouTuber, I'm talking about rationality rules and his transphobic YouTube videos, and I use the plural there because he's made a few at this point.
Man, seriously, I hate the word transphobic. It's like Islamophobic. It's like an irrational fear. I'm guessing he doesn't fear trans people. He just, doesn't believe that you can just magically switch between the sexes. And I probably should know who Rationality Rules is and Matt Dillahunty. I don't. It's 5:13 in the morning here, so his video goes on for another 10 minutes. I might do a part 2 if I feel like it. And if someone can let me know in the comment section down below who Matt Dillahunty and Rationality Rules is, I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, guys, Steve Shives, hero to the LGBTQ plus community. Probably going to become trans in the next couple of years. You can see it coming. I can see it coming. We can all see it coming, Steve. It's completely fine, man. You just be you, okay? But anyway, just sick of the double standards, sick of everyone having their own sort of, oh yeah, it's good to be black, it's good to be Mexican, but it's, if you want to be white and, be happy with that, you're a freaking Nazi. And then, like, when he said Nazis, because Steve literally calls anyone Nazis, I was like, oh, bullshit. What, some right-wingers or something? It actually is Nazis, for once. You finally got it right, Steve. Congratulations. But anyway, guys, come follow me over on Twitter. I'm just jumping back onto that. I'm on Discord as well. I'll be linking my new channel in the next couple of videos. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Hit a like, hit the subscribe if you like the video, and yeah, Steve, you hit 90k, man. I'm pretty happy with you. That's pretty good. Your Star Trek videos get a lot of views, everything else doesn't, but still, you're doing something right. Even though you're in a cult, so yeah. But hey, you've got to shout out my channel because I'm black, Steve. That's what I learned from my previous video. Because I'm black, you have to shout out my video.